Hey, Star Citizen fans, this is Ben from Rawcritics. I just finished watching Around the Verse. Again, I'm still playing catch up on all the great Star Citizen content. So I just finished watching Around the Verse 314 and Reverse the Verse 214. Had some couple questions that I wanted to run past you guys, and also some commentary and whatnot. Off the coattails of the anniversary stream last week, there was very much a lot of focus on Star Marine, so a lot of that kind of carried over into today. But you guys know me, as always. I'm trying to look into the little details to get a little hint of what this game's going to be about. Not about, but what it's going to offer us, folks that maybe aren't so focused on combat. Anyway, so the first thing I want to kind of talk about is the GreyCat MultiTool. That was kind of interesting to get a look into that. Two different modes right now. You can cut through either thin pieces of steel, or containers. So I'm thinking to myself, what else would you cut? What are some other possible things you can cut besides? I'm assuming steel is something like ship hulls or whatever to cut off a piece, or containers, as they mentioned. But what else could you theoretically cut through for that? Could you use it as perhaps a secondary tool in the first person shooter mode? Maybe some levels have built-in destructible environments, so to speak, but you need the right tool to kind of utilize that destructive environment. So I know they're kind of limiting like roles and stuff like that, but maybe someone carries a multi-tool and they can act as an engineer to kind of create a path or something. I don't know. That's kind of where my mind went with that. Actually, hold please. I think my package is being delivered. The repair tool sounds like it's going to be pretty straightforward. But they did mention the active display. So for the active display, I'm kind of wondering what's it going to show? I mean, are we talking about standard stuff like the percentage it's cut through? Like, how are they going to gauge what the cut is? You know what I mean? Or percentage repaired, I can see would be a thing. Like, it's 50%. It's showing the increase in the percentage. But would that be too much of a separation from reality? They like to base their stuff in kind of real tech, so to speak. So I'm wondering what they would possibly use, or what they would use the active display for. It would be kind of cool if they had some modularity functionality to it. They mentioned there will be additional modules, so like maybe if you're a maintenance guy working in a risky area, there is some sort of radar that could help lock on to folks, enemies or something that are closing in on your position, give you kind of a chance to get away, stuff like that. Protective measures, so to speak. So interested to hear your thoughts on how they'll use the active display and maybe some potential additional modules. So interested to hear your thoughts on the active display and potential additional modules. Grenades. I mean, the grenades they showed were pretty kind of standard fare. I'm hoping they're tunable, so I'm hoping you'll be able to kind of make adjustments to grenades. I know it's kind of a long-winded hope, but you know me, there's any way to kind of allow people outside of the combat base to excel or separate themselves or make a name for themselves would be kind of interesting. Even they could easily do it. Like, tunable would be maybe a larger range on the radar disruption, or obviously more clusters added, or more power on the regular fragmentation grenades, stuff like that. Maybe even some profession-specific grenades, or maybe I'm just hoping for maybe this is my hope for kind of maybe controllable deployables or something. So I don't know. We're maybe getting ahead of ourselves there. I do like the simplicity, though, that they showed on throw modes on the grenades, specifically using the sightline, customizable viewing angles, I should say, for grenade throwing. So it's underhand if it's below the mid mark, or overhand if it's above whatever customizable horizon line, so to speak. They're also looking to use the same gameplay element for gameplay functionality, I should say, for gadgets and stuff like that. So keeping that the same in a very simplistic, simple, easy to use gameplay mechanism across both grenades and any other gadgets is highly approved, I should say. I love it. There was a kind of a brief look at the mining pit ecosystem. I was kind of curious on that. It looked like a first pass. Obviously, maybe there's different size pits and stuff like that maybe they can procedurally generate or quickly add. Did you guys get the feeling that there's going to be buildings involved with the kind of these mining pits as well? Maybe there'll be like some pre-built kind of structures coming out of it. Maybe on like no gravity planets or some sort of mechanism, like deserted mechanism or whatever, to pull rocks up from the bottom. Any kind of machinery, or maybe on gravity based planets you have your typical conveyor belt type system set up. I don't know, just I'm wondering if you guys think there's going to be buildings built into that. But the procedural ground element cover, the rocks and stuff like that, I mean, they can expand that to anything, even debris and stuff on the surface of a planet. So that was looking pretty good. That rock cover looked realistic. It looked random enough. I was looking for patterns, but obviously there's probably not going to be any patterns. It's looking good. The cloud system also looks good as well, although I am kind of hoping to catch a glimpse of the volumetric clouds in the near future at some point. I'm really looking forward to scenarios like that, kind of seeing Cloud City type stuff, as you guys know from a previous mention. That was kind of the big takeaways from around the verse and some of the questions I had. For Reverse to Verse, I love that they're giving us kind of the high quality models of the opponent's weapons. Like when you see an opponent's weapon, it's going to be depending on how far away you are, it's going to be the highest quality that it could possibly give you. That's awesome. The fidelity, small things like that in the big picture, they might not matter, especially for like budget-driven, revenue-driven games. But the fact that these guys are really focused on the fidelity of this game, I mean, just you got to applaud them. You know what I mean? As long as they can deliver that fidelity without any or a lot of performance decrease, then you really got to give it to these guys for holding their ground, I should say, rather than taking a cheaper, easy way out. Damage states for guns. Holy crap, that is awesome. I didn't know those were a thing. That's really cool. I'm actually wondering if you can maybe even potentially blow off a piece. Or what if I take one of the mining cutters to my gun to kind of customize it, like wink wink customize it. Like I cut off part of the barrel, and it's kind of like the motorcycle riders, right? They reach their hands down low and no one really knows what that means outside of the group. Kind of like a hidden side. You could use stuff like that to customize, like a mining laser to I say mining laser, I'm saying the multi-tool cutter, steel cutter, to like cut off a chunk of the gun or something like that, or shorten the barrel. I don't know, something. Anyway, so maybe there's stuff that you can do like that. But getting back to the damage states, maybe that makes stuff like that possible. I need to dig up the old footage that David, I think his name was David, referenced, that showed it off. So if any of you guys know where I can find that footage, which around the verse, they didn't say which one, or even if it was around the verse, I'd be interested in seeing it. Compression, he gave an update on compression. Compression looked like it's coming along. My Total Recall dreams, again, it's been being mentioned a lot lately. Seems to be coming true. Although the fist fighting in the Fight Club underground arena sounds like that's a little bit off in the future, in the distance. I thought when he was talking about kind of the ships and stuff like that, and they were focusing on EMP for a little bit, the EMP capabilities, a thought came to my head. They kind of confirmed the first-person shooter HUDs, the heads-up display, and environments would be affected by EMP blasts or EMP grenades, but I wanted to bring up a specific situation for you guys and see if you guys think would be possible. Like maybe you're being raided by a ship, or there's a couple that block you in, a blockade or something like that, or maybe you come across the blockade. You think it would be possible for like someone to sneak out, go off into the distance, or like sneak around maybe the back of one of the blockade ships, and provided that the hull of the ship doesn't have any kind of EMP protection or major EMP protection, you think it would be a likely scenario where you could actually use like a EMP grenade, theoretically, or some sort of EMP delivery device, and affect the ship's electronics using like an EMP grenade like that, and then all the you break down their stuff, and then you can kind of get past the blockade or whatever. I'm just wondering if scenarios like that are going to be possible. That would be an interesting scenario. Kind of the last thing I just want to bring up in this, again, I'm going to keep this video short. There was an interesting proposal brought up by Todd in the second half of Reverse the Verse where he mentioned it might, using other tech, it was a question off the Van Duel, using the Van Duel tech, and he said it could come in the form of like using some technical ideas like the Van Duel tech and putting it inside of human weapons. That would be an interesting concept, and that would be an interesting way to introduce some, as I mentioned before, some specific focuses for people, non-fighting individuals, to kind of hone in on or focus in on or be good at, I guess, for lack of a better term. So we have some sort of tech mixer, so to speak. We'll just give the role a tech mixer for now. Tech mixer being able to be good at, and with different efficiencies being able to mix kind of techs together like that. So you have a human weapon, but you need like a special ability or a certain level of a special ability from a different race tech. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, those were kind of the thoughts and questions I had out of Around the Verse and Reverse the Verse. So if you guys have any insight into any of that or any commentary on some of the ideas or answers to any of the questions, please leave a comment below. As always, the Star Citizen universe is fantastic. Just a reminder, if anyone can make it to the New York City Bar Citizen this Friday at 7 o'clock at Ace Bar, I'm looking forward to shooting the shit with you guys. So I will see you there if you guys are planning on going. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the verse. Boom! Smart bulbs. I was just sent one to try out.